Hello and welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Linda McNamee, in for Phil Gallagher. A Burlington home was damaged after a driver went airborne and crashed into the front of the house on Tuesday. Burlington police say that on Tuesday, October 31st at approximately 2 p.m., Burlington police received a report that a car had crashed into a house on Center Street. Upon arrival, police observed a gray 2015 Toyota Camry on the front lawn of a home on Center Street. The driver, a 54-year-old Burlington woman, was transported by ambulance to an area hospital with injuries that were not believed to be life-threatening. A passenger was not injured in the crash. Following an on-scene investigation, police determined that the Burlington woman was on Birchcrest Street when she suddenly accelerated about 40 feet down the road through a 5-foot embankment and onto the front lawn of a residence on Center Street. The car collided with a set of brick stairs and a pillar in front of the house. The brick patio and lawn also sustained damage. Upon further investigation, police learned that as the driver was approaching the stop sign on Birchcrest Street, she was unable to reach the brake pedal, likely because her car had been detailed earlier that day and the seat had not been properly readjusted. WHDH reports that homeowners Matt Rausch and Lauren Paccia were at work when the accident happened, but the incident was caught on a home surveillance system. In it, a car can be seen accelerating toward the home and striking the front of the house, damaging a pillar, siding, and foundation. Fortunately, the car did not go into the house. The accident could have been much worse. The homeowners say that just minutes before the incident, children were waiting outside for a school bus. A medical marijuana group was before the planning board on Thursday night for a proposed project on Blanchard Road that brought a lot of resistance from possible future abutters. According to paperwork filed with the planning department, Mission Massachusetts Incorporated is looking to build the dispensary at 64 Blanchard Road. On Thursday evening, the group gave a presentation on the project before hearing from local residents who raised a number of concerns about it. Early on in the proceedings, the planning board members made it clear that this was just the beginning of a long process and no vote would be taken on the site plan or any of the special permits that night. Mission Massachusetts board members Chris Kane gave the board an overview of the process of someone purchasing medical marijuana and the safety mechanism that will be employed if the project is built. Crane said that a patient must first get a recommendation from a doctor that then allows them to fill out a form with the state's Department of Public Health. This card is required to even access the building. Crane said patients are allowed to purchase 2.5 ounces every 2 weeks, and that is verified through a state website. He also said that no consumption is allowed on the property and that there will be 24/7 surveillance to help ensure that rule is followed. After members of the planning board asked a few questions, the floor was opened to input from the public. The room was packed to standing room only, and all but one person identified themselves as being in opposition to the project. A number of residents, most who live in the area on or around Blanchard Road, said they were afraid of what impact the dispensary would have on their neighborhoods. They raised a number of concerns, including the message the dispensary sends to children about the acceptability of drug use, the potential for dispensary customers selling their medical marijuana to others for recreational use, and an increase in traffic. There were also people who were afraid that the dispensary would be a target for thieves, and that activity might spill over into the surrounding neighborhoods. This concern was raised in the lead up to the ban for recreational marijuana due to the substance still being illegal at the federal level, meaning no banks will work with the companies, and therefore it is a cash-only operation. Residents then asked members of the planning board if they could stop the project, considering so many potential future abutters were against it. Members say they were limited by the state law. It is unlawful for a municipality to ban medical marijuana or to create a bylaw that is so restrictive and essentially works as a ban. If it did, that would be likely that the state attorney general's office would deem it overreaching and strike it down. possibly opening up the town to lose what controls it might otherwise have. In the end, the board voted to continue the matter to its next meeting on Thursday, November 16th. Powerful winds overnight Sunday into Monday caused some damage and widespread power outages across Massachusetts, and Burlington was no exception. At the peak, over 300,000 residents and businesses were without power across the state. In Burlington, every section of town had at least some power outages. This caused delayed openings at school, and an outage caused by a tree over some wires shut down Fox Hill Elementary School for the day. Other damage from the storm caused flooding of some of the backyards near wetlands. There were also downed trees and tree limbs. One particularly large tree pictured came down on a front lawn at a Sears Street residential home. Fortunately, there were no reports of injuries. Veterans Day is next Saturday, and as it does every year, Burlington is working on a ceremony to honor our veterans. BNEWS reporter Robert Paris spoke to Burlington Veteran Services Director Chris Hanovan to learn more and has this report.
Planning for an annual ceremony in Burlington is well underway. This week, I stopped by the Veterans Service Office located in the back of the Burlington High School to speak with Veterans Services Director Chris Hanovan about the upcoming 2017 Veterans Day ceremony. He said this year that rather than celebrate a specific anniversary, they would honor veterans of the Korean War, even as they prepare for a big anniversary next year.
Veterans Day was founded after the armistice in 1918, ending the Great War. So that's really what we're going to concentrate on next year. So I was looking for other things that maybe we could do that would still, mean a lot to the community, but didn't necessarily have a 25-year or 10-year or even 50-year anniversary. This Korean War for Peace, or the Ambassador for Peace Medal, was a great opportunity.
In past years, the Veterans Day ceremony had a theme. This year, the ceremony will focus on honoring those who fought in the war in Korea.
It's not necessarily a theme or an anniversary or anything like that. I guess the theme is going to be recognizing these Korean War veterans, so that would be the theme.
During the ceremony, they'll be presenting Korean War veterans with a special medal.
So that's the medal. Basically, it is for any Korean War veteran that served in the Korean War between 1951 and 1953. Some of the criteria: you had to have boots on the ground during that time period.
The ceremony will be having a veteran speaker who is well known in the Massachusetts area.
So the guest speaker is an individual. He was an Air Force pilot, call sign Buzz. He's a gentleman that's very well renowned in the Massachusetts community. He currently serves with the Air and Space Museum out of Boston. He served over 20 years in the Air Force. He's a great veteran. We were able to contact him after the Korean Consulate General was unable to make it. He, made himself available. He's in the Ancient Order of Artillery, which is the oldest, I guess you could say, military order existent in the country. So he is going to be wearing his ancient uniform.
Finally, Chris hopes that people will take away something from the upcoming ceremony.
Well, I think the major thing that I'd like them to take away is the fact that just because we're not celebrating a 25 or 50-year anniversary, there's still people serving in harm's way today. And for that matter, there are veterans that served in harm's way, years past. It's not to say that nothing significant happened ending in the year 7 or 17 or 27. I'm just saying that there was nothing of great significance, and when this came up, it seemed like a great opportunity to recognize these veterans.
From the Veterans Service Office, I'm Robert Paris for BNews Weekly.
Thank you, Robert. Construction on the town common's new electrical system has been well underway for the past few weeks. BNews reporter Chris Flaherty spoke in detail to Parks and Recreation Director Brendan Egan on the benefits of this new system and what it means for programming on the Common going forward.
If you've driven through the center of town lately, you've probably noticed construction work on the town common. The plans for the ground's new electrical system have been put into action. Speaking with Parks and Recreation Director Brendan Egan, I learned the plans for a new electric system on the common have been in the works for the past few years.
In fiscal year 15 and fiscal year 16, we applied for a park grant, which included the replacement of the town common electrical. We weren't successful, so we pulled that out of our park grant application and went to the town to fund it through town meeting. You know, and we were successful, and I appreciate the support from town administration, the Recreation Commission, and then the vote at town meeting to fund this project.
Egan went into detail on how this new system will benefit Parks and Recreation programming and events going forward.
Everything will be up to code, which is the biggest plus. It'll all be brand new electrical. We'll have timers on all of the outlets, timers on the lights for the common. We will be able to hold events without renting generators, which has been a big expense. We hold a lot of special events and summer concert and movie series out here. Events like Truck Day, new events like the Diwali Festival that they just had last weekend, which was well attended. We'll be able to continue with the tree lighting and be able to continue to light as many trees as possible each year. The system will be able to handle our needs for quite some time into the future.
Installation of the town common's new electrical system is expected to be completed in the next few weeks.
Project completion, we have a deadline of November 17th, which gives us some time for Eversource to come out and hook up the main power, connect it, and then it'll be ready for the tree lighting. We're very excited for it.
Until next time, this is Chris Flaherty for BNEWS Weekly.
Thank you, Chris. A longtime Burlington resident, Vietnam War veteran, and former member of the Burlington Board of Selectmen passed away last week. George Judge Jr. passed in the company of his loving family on Thursday, October 26th. A Waltham native, George enlisted in the United States Army after graduating from Boston College in 1957. He served in the Vietnam War from 1957 to 1959, and during his time in the armed forces earned the Good Conduct Medal and the Sharpshooter Rifleman's Badge. George married Anne Marie McCarty on October 31st, 1959, and they settled in Burlington, where they raised their 3 children, Michael, Christopher, and Susan. A man of high energy, George became involved with his new community. He ran for and won a seat on town meeting. During his time, he was also on the planning board, and the Board of Selectmen. He was focused on building the town's reservoir and water treatment plant and bringing Burlington a world-class hospital in the Leahy Clinic and the campus of Sun Microsystems. He also was a member of the town's personnel board. You can find his full obituary on our website at www.bcattv.org/bnews. Simons Park was full of ghosts and goblins, not to mention quite a few superheroes and Disney characters, for the Burlington Parks and Recreation and the Burlington Rotary's annual Spooktacular. BNews reporter John Baez was there and has this report.
'Twas an evening of fun and frights at Simons Park as the people of Burlington came together for the annual Halloween Spooktacular. The weather gave no tricks, but indeed a surprising treat to all the Parks and Rec and Rotary Club members who worked hard, putting their all into making this a night to remember.
This is the first year that we've had some beautiful weather every year. We started this with the Burlington Rec about 6 years ago, and every year it's expanded.
The Burlington Halloween Spooktacular consists of fun and games for kids of all ages.
We have a bonfire. We have more than 30 high school kids volunteering all day last night and tonight to set up, clean up. It's just a great event.
What activities were offered, you may ask? I talked to some of the high school volunteers to gain the inside scoop about their roles and what they liked best about taking part in the festivities.
This is a table to support the Teal Pumpkin Project, which is a project about giving kids with allergies prizes rather than candy on Halloween so they don't feel left out.
I was running the Pin the Spider event, and it's where kids, they took a spider and they spun around 3 times and they just stuck it up on the wall.
And keeping up with the usual holiday traditions, I spoke to some trick-or-treaters who expressed what they liked best about the Halloween Spooktacular and All Hallows Eve.
And who are you guys supposed to be?
Home.
What are you dressed up as?
Spider-Man.
Captain America.
Captain America. Ninja. I didn't feel like dressing up.
I'm Alice in Wonderland.
I'm Harley Quinn.
What do you guys like best about Halloween?
Candy. Candy. Go and get candy.
How about you?
I get candy. Going trick-or-treating. Haunted house.
Mostly the candy.
Hanging out with friends.
Have you guys done anything fun here?
We went through the haunted house and we went on the fancy thing.
And of course, a Halloween event wouldn't be complete without some thrills, chills, and things that go bump in the night, as Discovery Preschool turned itself into a haunted house for the occasion.
It's kind of scary.
I love seeing the families out here. The Interact kids coming out, working the activities, the hard work that the staff puts in, and then to see the families come out and enjoy it, that's the best part, in the costumes.
From the Halloween Spooktacular at Simons Park, I'm John Vias, wishing you a happy Halloween from BNEWS Weekly.
Thank you, John. It's that time of year again. As the old saying goes, spring forward, fall back. This Sunday marks the end of daylight savings time. Before going to bed Saturday night, turn your clocks back 1 hour. Officially, daylight savings time ends at 2 a.m. on Sunday, November 5th. But unless you're a night owl and a stickler for the rules, Saturday night will work just fine. Computers, smartphones, and tablets will automatically adjust the time. This does mean that the days will be getting dark earlier, but we do get an extra hour of sleep. We now go to BNews weatherman Peter Brown in our Weather Center for the latest forecast. We'll also check out the community calendar with Maddie Shipka to see what's happening in Burlington.
Well, hello everyone, and this is Peter Brown with a look at your weather for the next 7 days. And I know, can you believe it? We are now in November. I know that's really incredible to think. We're actually, if you can believe it, 2/3 of the way through meteorological fall now. So, of course, we know what the next season is, but we'll worry about that when it comes here, that's for sure. But look at this again. Starting at our period on Friday, we're looking at temperatures again. I know this is nothing new, but temperatures again way up in the upper 60s. And we might actually touch into the low to mid 70s. There's a couple of models that are showing it might be a little bit warmer than even what we're saying on there. So that's really something incredible, that's for sure, especially going into the first few days of November. Never mind, that would be nice weather for the beginning of September. But of course, our average temperatures are only supposed to be in the upper 50s, mid 50s, usually around that. So will be a good 10 to 15 degrees above the average high going into Friday and into the very, very, very first part of the weekend. Now, as we get, of course, to the ends of the period, getting into, look at that, November 9th already, you can definitely tell that our average highs really are starting to trail off into the lower 50s. So that's definitely a sign that, unfortunately, winter is on its way. And, of course, you notice, look at how late now the sun is rising in the morning, how early it's going down. And, of course, before you go to bed on Sunday night, you're actually going to have to turn the clocks back an hour. So we're going to be seeing the sun setting around 4:30 starting on Sunday afternoon. So I know that's a little bit of depressing news, but we'll go ahead and show you a little bit of what's going to be going on with our weather for the next 7 days. As we go on to the next graphic, This is kind of an active pattern here. This really isn't something that we've seen a lot of, save for last Monday where we had all of that incredibly heavy rain and really, really strong winds. Now, most of our weather is really going to be going on as we get into the latter portion of the period here in the Burlington area. And we're going to see a series of low pressure centers moving our way from the southwest. And what's going to be happening is we're going to see a couple of weak low pressure centers, perhaps on Wednesday, scooting by us to the southeast. Now, there's also going to be a very chilly high pressure center centered over southeastern Canada. And we're going to have to watch carefully and see how strong this high is and see how much cool air drains down in here Wednesday morning. Because it looks like if you're up in central New Hampshire and into Maine and up that way, we're actually going to probably start off as a brief period of light snow on Wednesday. Nothing down here in the Burlington area, it looks like right now in terms of even flurry activity. But keep in mind, Wednesday's going to be a pretty chilly and raw day with temperatures only in the 40s and some pretty steady rain. Thereafter, though, on Thursday, we're going to see a secondary low pressure center maybe come up the coast. And we're going to have to keep an eye on this one. This one could also be fairly heavy in terms of rainfall, and it could also drag down some very cold air on the backside. But we won't worry about that right now. Weather's looking not too bad, a little bit unsettled towards the end of the period. And of course, after those storms all pass by, we have some chilly weather coming in as we head into the start of next weekend. Now, as we go ahead, I'm going to show you a little bit about the temperature and precip that we're expecting for November. Now, according to the Climate Prediction Center, up here in the Burlington area and over most of southern New England, looks like we're expecting pretty average conditions, but as you can see, if you're traveling up out into New York State and up into northern New England, they might be getting a little bit more in the way of normal precipitation. Now, if you're traveling down to the southern tier, anywhere, especially from Texas to Florida, going down there for a little bit of vacation, getting up towards Thanksgiving, looks like it's going to be pretty dry down there. Now, the next graphic is one that we've been seeing for about the past 6 or 7 months or so, and this is no surprise to us. Up here in the Burlington area and the rest of New England, in fact, we're expecting above average temperatures again for November. Maybe not quite as warm as it was in October, but definitely above the average. And if you're traveling down south, look at that. It's going to definitely have a feel of midsummer if you're going that way. Traveling out west, though, it's going to be very chilly and very wintry. We're looking at probably that's going to be where the jackpot in terms of snow is coming up for November. Now, going ahead, I'm going to show you some of those conditions that we're expecting for the next 7 days. And again, as we can see here on Friday, starting on our period, maybe some rain showers as this pretty strong cold front approaches, but temperatures, look at this, again, up in the upper 60s to maybe even as high as the mid 70s. However, as we go into the latter portion of Friday night, getting into Saturday morning, we're going to see the temperatures really crash down into the 30s. And look at this on Saturday. Nice sunny skies, a couple of clouds around, but pretty chilly in the low 50s. And of course, before we go to bed again on Sunday morning, we're going to be turning the clocks back. So remember that as we're going as standard time actually comes back to us here in the Burlington area. And again, a chance of a couple of showers here and there. Nice weather as we head into Tuesday. And of course, Wednesday and Thursday is where it gets a little bit active for our weather pattern. And look at this on Wednesday. Temperatures are only going to be in the upper 40s for temperatures with some rain. So, and the same thing with Wednesday, just barely making it above 50. So some real raw November conditions as we get towards the end of the week. But folks, I hope you get out there, enjoy your weekend, and have a great week.
Hello, I'm Maddie Shipka, and this is your community calendar. Grab a drink, get some popcorn, and enjoy a delightful movie. On Thursday, November 9th, from 1:30 to 3 p.m., the Burlington Public Library will be having a movie day. They'll be showing Spider-Man: Homecoming with Tom Holland and Michael Keaton. The event is for kids in grades 3 and up. The movie is rated PG-13. Parents are welcome to attend. The event is also free. For more information, visit burlington.org or call 781-270-1690. Come make a difference for the lives of disabled veterans. On Saturday, November 11th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Great Brook Farm State Park in Carlisle, Massachusetts, the 5th annual Walk and Wag for Veterans fundraiser will be held on Veterans Day. There will also be silent auctions and raffles, food, face painting, a dog show, and much more. All proceeds will benefit Operation Delta Dog. Everyone is welcome, including dogs. The event is also free. For more information, visit www.walkandwagforveterans.com. the players are at it again with another performance. From November 3rd through the 18th, the Burlington Players will be performing the play The Exact Center of the Universe by Joan Vale Thorne. The play is about a 35-year-old man by the name of Appleton Powell, Jr., who has finally set his heart on a young Irish-Italian Catholic girl from the wrong side of town. Appleton's mother, Vada Love Powell, is determined to put a stop to the romance. The play is set in a Louisiana town in the 1950s and 60s. The play is a warm, funny, and at times heart-wrenching reflection on change, friendship, family relationships, and love in all its many forms. Everyone is welcome. For more information, dates, times, and tickets, please visit burlingtonplayers.com or call 781-229-2649. I'm Maddie Shipka, and this has been your Community Calendar.
Thank you, Maddie, and thank you, Peter. The end of the regular fall sports season is here, and we go now to BNEWS sports reporter Matt DiMarzio to see which Red Devils team have clinched playoff spots in this week's sports report.
Hey everyone, this is Matt DiMarzio here with your weekly sports report. The Burlington High volleyball team starts play in the state tournament on Thursday with a trip to Charlestown. After another exciting regular season saw the Red Devils finish with a 12-7 regular season record. The 9th-seeded girls will play 8th-seeded Charlestown, who is 12-6 heading into the home match. With a victory, Burlington will play again on Tuesday, either on the road against top-seeded East Boston or at home against either Weston or Dracut. Both Red Devils soccer teams fell just short of reaching the state tournament. Last Thursday, the girls and boys both played Melrose and needed victories to extend their seasons. The boys tied Melrose 1-1 to finish just 1 point away from the playoffs. The girls, who also tied the Red Raiders and then clobbered Shawsheen Tech the next day, leaving them 1 point away as well. The football team had some excellent news to report last Friday night when the Devils edged Revere by a 21-20 score for Coach Dan McKay's first victory at the helm. Burlington trailed 20-14 late in the game and used a fourth quarter drive to pull ahead. Coach McKay always talks about how hard his squad works, and the late game heroics seem to back up that assertion. The Red Devils also has a consolation bracket playoff game against the Belmont Marauders on Friday, November 3rd at 7 p.m. at Varsity Field. The golf season ended last Monday, and BHS senior Sean Hurley qualified to compete in the state finals as an individual. Burlington golf coach Bob Conceition said Hurley was a little disappointed after his performance in the state finals. For you regular golfers out there, Hurley fired a 35 over the final 9 holes and finished with an 80. Disappointed? Feel free to yell at your TVs anytime. Hurley will graduate as one of the best golfers that the high school has ever seen. Earlier this season, at the Barica Country Club, Hurley finished 9 holes with a score of 32. That's just crazy. And that's all for your weekly sports report. I'm Matt DiMarzio. I'm back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Matt. In other sports news, a Burlington High School alumnus is heading overseas to play professional basketball in Palestine. BNEWS director Rich Hosford caught up with him before he left and has this report.
From Burlington High School to college ball, and now all the way to Palestine. Burlington High School alum Bilal Rabbani recently boarded a plane bound for his family's ancestral homeland of Palestine to play basketball for the Orthodox Ramallah Club in Ramallah, Palestine, about 6 miles north of Jerusalem. Bilal started to play as a young teenager and was inspired by the Boston Celtics' 2008 championship victory. He was a passionate player, but, he says, had to overcome obstacles.
Person that really I had a chip on my shoulder in a sense, because people really looked at me as, he hasn't played basketball his life, we have, so we're going to kind of go at him. And that was a little bit it made me into a better player.
Bilal said that after a lot of hard work, he was able to get playtime on the BHS varsity team and show that he had what it takes to play. His dream was to then play college ball, and he first went to UMass Lowell, where he was picked for the team, but unfortunately was cut a month later and spent the next year in training. He looked at a number of different schools and eventually landed on Emerson, but had to spend another year training and working on his athleticism before a spot on the team opened up. By his senior year, he was on the team, but still overcoming obstacles.
Up, and by the time senior year hit for college, then I had another chip on my shoulder, just like senior year in high school. So I really needed to get into the rotation and stuff. But I mean, my senior year was a little bit tough. I went through a lot of problems within myself and stuff. I lost my grandfather, so I kind of had to really fight a lot of stuff that kind of came my way. But in the end, it really worked out. And when I got to Emerson, and the team really accepted me, and I worked really hard. My coach, Bill Curley, played in the NBA for 8 years, and he really taught me a lot.
After graduating from college, Bilal was looking for his next move. Inspired by a friend who was playing for Lebanon's national team, he reached out to the Palestinians.
So I contacted the Palestinian national team, and the coaches answered pretty fast. And they said, listen, like, I kind of wanted to ask them for a year ahead, a couple years even, but they wanted me actually pretty soon. I told them I was in an injury, and they said, don't worry, like, we're actually pretty desperate for players around here. We want our league to be more known. We want you to come. So if we can wait till you heal in a month, and then the second part of the season will start, hopefully we can get you in November. And then that's what happens.
As may be expected, considering how Palestine is covered in the news, Bilal's family raised some concerns about the opportunity.
Definitely, my dad, that was one of the first questions my dad asked the coach, is the territory safe? And it is. They said it's relaxed. There's no violence that happens, you know. So that was one good thing. So the media really does portray it as this bad environment, which I feel like everywhere is going to be, some parts are going to be bad, which definitely is. The parts that I'm going to, nice, safe, people are joined in, and actually the Israelis, Palestinians actually live together at points.
His family is also excited for the opportunity. His parents grew up in Palestine, and his parents lived there as children before leaving for the first time and eventually landing in the United States. Bilal said he is excited to discover his family roots.
Grandparents, they lived in this town in Palestine called Haifa, but now it's Haifa, Israel, because Israel took it, and they had to migrate to Lebanon. So this is where my family lives, in Lebanon. In the summers I go to Lebanon, but they're not allowed back in Palestine. I am, just because I have an American passport. So, you know, it's a little sad that the second generation cannot see their own home country, but I got an opportunity through basketball to see it, and now I'm excited for that. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that this orange thing is taking me across the world, you know, so it's something that I'm really happy about, and it's an opportunity to see my own home country because I've never been there before.
At Burlington High School, I'm BNEWS Director Rich Hosford.
Thank you, Rich. Another week, another photo to highlight. Actually, this week we have multiple photos sent in by Burlington residents showing their youngsters dressed up and ready to head out in search of candy for Halloween. First up, we have Hazel as a cute baby elephant. This photo was sent in by her grandmother, Julie Eggleston, co-host of the BCAT gardening show, Burlington Blooms. And here's Evan McNamee as the comic superhero Captain Underpants, striking the character's signature pose as he performs before heading into battle against evil. We also have Gwyneth McNamee, who went as a bunny in a ballerina tutu. Here she is taking a break from the festivities to enjoy a soda. Next up, Colton has his mouse ears and the rest of his Mickey Mouse outfit all set and is ready to hit the town in search of candy. This photo was sent in by Kathy Johnson. Finally, we have an adorable Jedi. This is Mackenzie, dressed up as Yoda from the Star Wars series. This photo was sent in by her mother, Maureen Spencer, who co-hosts BCAT's coverage of the annual Taste of Burlington event. Thanks everyone for the great photos, and a late happy Halloween to everyone. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of something you see around town, the weather outside your door, or even photos of your family members and pets. Whatever you think is interesting and would like to share. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line, Photo of the Week. Well, that's it for this week's edition of BNews Weekly. I'm Linda McNamee. Have a great week, and I'll see you around town.